Well, I would back that up just a little bit and say before I even tried to implement an acquisition strategy, I would get good training. It's too easy and too prevalent for people to be fed crap on Instagram, YouTube. I mean, not to call my own stuff crap, but you're not going to learn a full acquisition strategy by going to my Instagram channel. You're gonna see some sexy little sound bites and whatnot, and it's gonna get you a little hot and bothered about getting into real estate. But you must get properly trained, because the lack of proper training is leading to complete clowns going out there trying to acquire properties.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Joel Sangerman, is a longtime real estate investor, fund manager, and educator who has completed deals across multiple markets using creative and traditional finance strategies. He's the founder of iBuyRealestate.com, Terms Daddy, and the Real Estate Deal Room, where he helps investors structure profitable deals in any market cycle. He is known for his direct, no-fluff approach to building durable wealth through real estate assets. Welcome to the show, Joel.
Thanks for having me. And Dylan, you did a great job keeping a straight face given our earlier conversation about Terms Daddy.
Hey, that's a great one. And as far as Instagram handles and branding goes, that's a great name. How did you come up with Terms Daddy?
Well, we used to do a lot of renovations back in the early 90s, and we used to call the properties junkers. And when Al Gore invented the internet, there was an opportunity to buy internet URLs, and came up with Junker Daddy. And then of course GoDaddy came out and stole my thunder.
Well, you had it
But,
first.
then of course we evolved from doing renovations to doing deals that involve financing terms so that we could capture a little bit more of the market. I mean, there's nobody that we can't do a deal with when you can buy for cash, but you can also buy on terms,
Right.
meaning the seller finances or the seller takes monthly payments for a period of time. So we changed everything to Terms Daddy.
How
And
did
then
you
I got
get
to be known as the Terms Daddy.
the Terms Daddy? How did you get involved in real estate investing? I know that you're in the Las Vegas area right now. Have you always been out there?
No, I'm born and raised in Chicago. Love Chicago. It's a little bit too cold, frigid, and Las Vegas. The weather's beautiful, and there was tremendous opportunities for real estate out here. Going back to the '90s, this city has grown uh, exponentially in terms of value, in terms of people, in terms of what's available to do here. So I still love Chicago, but really love Las Vegas. But yeah, I got started uh, mostly because I was working in medical sales and biotechnology, and dealing with a corporate America that was frankly frustrating, a little bit boring. I felt like I was trading my time for money. I'm sitting in meetings that it's like on the Charlie Brown show where you're just hearing wah, 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 wah. It's just annoying. And then I saw one of these infomercials back in the day. Guy by the name of Carlton Sheets bought the infomercial.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And, really took off from there because, I followed the program, made $30,000, which isn't a lot of money, but in the early 90s.
It was a lot of money then.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even people today would be happy with an extra $30,000 to making a few phone calls, using some skills that have been uploaded from, some kind of real estate training. But that was my ticket right there. I was like, I don't want to sit in these stupid meetings anymore. I'm wasting my time. The amount of time I sat here listening to I could have made, 25 grand.
I would like to ask you about, being in Las Vegas, the greater Las Vegas area. Is there
Sure.
a really strong community of, real estate investors and people who are interested in investing in real estate? It seems to be the case that I'm seeing more and more, really strong communities throughout the country. Is Las Vegas one of them?
Absolutely, it is. I don't really do a lot of community stuff, but there are a lot of real estate investors out here for sure. You know that just by every time you get off the highway, you see somebody using the old bandit signs, and then you see posters on the telephone poles. So certainly, this is a thriving city for entrepreneurialism and degenerate gamblers as well. But there are a lot of entrepreneurs for sure.
Hey, there's two forms of adrenaline right there. You can
That's
flip
right.
home, or you can, go to the casino. When
No doubt.
we talk about acquisitions specifically, I think that there's a lot of interest in, getting, especially for folks getting into the business, getting that first deal. Sometimes people may even be so gung ho that they might get a deal under contract that they potentially should not have, just because that they're so, gung ho on getting into the business. If you had to start all over again today and get into real estate investing, is there one lead source or acquisition strategy that you would have?
Well, I would back that up just a little bit and say before I even tried to implement an acquisition strategy, I would get good training. It's too easy and too prevalent for people to be fed crap on Instagram, YouTube. I mean, not to call my own stuff crap, but you're not going to learn a full acquisition strategy by going to my Instagram channel. You're gonna see some sexy little sound bites and whatnot, and it's gonna get you a little hot and bothered about getting into real estate. But you must get properly trained, because the lack of proper training is leading to complete clowns going out there trying to acquire properties.
Yeah.
And that's led to massive amounts of regulation in an industry that was blue sky for decades. And it's not anymore, because you have people doing things that they haven't been trained to do properly. So my first acquisition strategy would be, and it doesn't have to be with me, there are good trainings out there, but I would get trained up. I would spend, look, go to a semester of school before you start dealing in properties that are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Go to a semester of school, take some kind of a 3-month program or something like that, where the information can be uploaded to your brain so that then you can download it into the market and make money. Don't watch a YouTube video and then go out and start wreaking havoc. And in
I
terms of the actual strategy itself, it really does depend on what your financial situation is. If you're totally broke, it's fine. You can still learn the skills. Just go get a contract and then sell the contract. It doesn't have to be, like a wholesale price. It could be just getting a deal with some kind of financing terms and then selling that deal to somebody who wants financing terms for 10, 15, 20 grand. So you're really selling the deal if you have no money, or you can lock the property up, find your buyer, simultaneously close, funding your purchase, not with your money, but funding your purchase out of the buyer you've also found. So you would go out and find your seller and your buyer simultaneously close.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Walk away with the spread, walk away with the difference. So there's a million different ways to do this,
Right.
but people need to get trained and not trained on just one strategy. I think people need a much more robust portfolio of skills so that they can handle any seller situation that comes up. It makes life a lot easier.
Right, right. I mean, I cut my teeth in the wholesale space. And I think when we
Sure.
talk about, used to be blue skies and now regulation, I think wholesale would be, what people point to. I remember going through real estate school in Fort Worth, Texas. And, that was one of the things that was regularly brought up, is this
Yeah.
idea of, cash offers. And then also, if you get anybody coming to you with a creative offer, kind of like run. And I was sitting there thinking, like, what was I doing this whole time? Like, I feel like they're
Right.
just calling me out. But it's because you do have a lot of people who may see like an Instagram reel, or they may
Yeah.
just see it in their social media feed. And then the next thing you know, they'll be knocking doors trying to get properties under contract, and they don't even know how to, you know, talk to a title company, right? So you run into issues there.
Or putting sellers in risky situations that they never understood or explained properly. They develop trust with that seller, they get a contract, and then they sell that contract to some moron who totally screws the seller over, and then that ends up, being brought to the attention of regulators, and now you have legislation that is over the top in terms of what's needed to protect people.
Yeah, and I think specifically like subject to the existing loan,
Mhm.
right, where someone is assuming the payment, right, without the lender potentially knowing, right, and then so if that end,
Tremendous misinformation in that space. The people who
right,
are in that community really ought to think twice about what they've learned, and maybe check their facts on some things. Even though we
yeah,
do deals that are sub two, but we do them ethically, we do them the right way. We don't go assigning those deals out. I think if you do that, you're really not operating ethically, because you've made certain, commitments to the seller. Their name is on the mortgage, and you ought to stay responsible for it
yeah, a hundred
until it's
percent.
paid off.
I think certainly as a realtor right now, I have to always think first of, okay, well, I'm going to be held to this higher standard, but it also does kind of eliminate a lot of the strategies that maybe I could have done previously, just because there's a higher bar to hurdle in these transactions, which I think is ultimately to protect sellers. So that's a good thing, right? I
Yeah,
would like to pivot here though, Joel, and ask you
sure.
specifically about creating a community for yourself if you are getting into real estate. I know that you're active on so many platforms, right? For folks who are looking at, how do I get started? I may be in Las Vegas, or I may be in Miami, Florida, or I may be in, upstate New York. How do I start, dipping my feet in the water of real estate? Should they start with building that community around them?
Well, when you say building a community, you are going to have players on your team that you deal with, but it's really one of the few industries where a community isn't needed. You need to learn how to structure a deal, and then you need to learn how to speak to a seller where that seller can get a feel for your character, because nobody wants to deal with someone that they think doesn't have integrity. And then they need to get a feel for your competency. When you marry character and competency, along with having the ability to structure deals properly, and you're able to then communicate effectively with that seller, that's where the deal happens. It doesn't happen because you went to a meetup.
Yeah.
So I'm not really big on the whole community thing. I know that goes against the grain. People, love, bearded clowns who are out here saying this and saying that, but I think it slows people down, to be perfectly candid. Learn the
Yeah.
skills, practice the skills. Like, for example, so we can upload the information to your brain in terms of how to structure deals. It's going to take a little bit of studying, asking some questions, going through some of the, complicated aspects of things, but, anyone can understand it if they, put a little time and effort into it.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
But just understanding it isn't enough. You have to be able to communicate to the seller. And so one of the things we do is we have a software application that capitalizes on the idea of repetition being the mother of mastery. So what happens is you come into this app and I've got these actors and actresses who will spit objections and questions and concerns at you that commonly come up. And then there's an example of how to answer it. It's me or one of my clients answering it well. And then you're like, okay, now I try it. And then the app starts to record you, and then you've got to answer the question that the actor just gave you, and it's going to suck. So you watch it, you're like, that's terrible, let me do it again, and then it still sucks. You watch it, you do it, you keep doing it until you get it right, and once it's right, you hit submit. Well, it's forcing you to practice overcoming the question or concern that comes up from the seller before you're actually in a game situation. The same thing Tom Brady would do as a quarterback, right? Throw that pass to Gronk 1,000 times before they get on the field. That's what needs to happen in this business as well. So those are some things that are much more important than going to meetups and things like that where you just get all hot and bothered, but nothing really happens.
I'm glad you mentioned the repetitions, right? Especially with AI. And we were talking about this before hopping on here. It is mind blowing how granular it can get, right? So if you're wanting to, do a specific, seller conversation and dialogue, you could build a model, and it sounds like you have, right, where people can interact and it can have a conversation, where it is tailored to that specific niche, that specific conversation. If I wanted to drill down and say, like, hey, I want to make a compelling seller finance offer, and I'm talking directly to the seller, and I don't just want to say, will you take payments, right? Because how
Right.
compelling is that? It can walk me through a number of different ways to do that. To me, that's one of the maybe most underutilized ways that I see AI being useful is it can help people really accelerate that learning curve without having to get in front of, face to face sellers and buyers. They can take, repetitions on their own in their own home.
That's exactly correct. You and I were talking about it earlier. Both of us have a similar goal. You're a little further along than me with speaking Spanish. I really want to learn to speak Spanish, but you got to get the reps in. You got to get the practice in. Otherwise, you'll be in a situation like you were in, where you were challenged, at a customs checkpoint, but you
That's
you
right.
handled your own because you put the reps in. Well, you don't want to be in front of a seller where you're going to make $100,000 and screw the thing up. So
That's
put the
right.
reps in, get the practice, quit binging on YouTube videos and get into some kind of real training where you're going to have a coach handhold you through things. I mean, think of driving a car. You would never, and you look like you might be too young to remember the days where we had these Rand McNally road atlases, to get directions. You're like trying to drive a car and you're pulling out this map, folding it a million different ways, trying to see where to go. Nobody would do things like that. And that's analogous to using YouTube to learn real estate deals.
Yep.
Today, we have a navigation system. We have a GPS. The GPS is like, in 200 feet, turn right. Well, that's me or some other coach in your ear saying, this is this next step. Here's the next step. Here's the next step. Now go get your money. It's a much better way of learning real estate is when you have a coach being a GPS in your ear, one-on-one, hand holding you through the deal. But, a lot of times people are just not willing to invest a few grand into getting that coaching, but they
Yeah.
don't realize that they're costing themselves hundreds of thousand
Hundreds.
dollar of dollars, if not millions, by not getting the proper training or being, cheapskates and not paying for education. I don't like paying
Especially
for education either. I just spent 70 grand on my kids, college this year, and and I already know she's probably not going to learn anything from it. I'm more paying for the experience
it's a
for her.
piece of
I'd
paper that
much rather her,
pay.
start a business, but but her
That's
mom
how it
wanted her to
is.
go to
I was having
college,
this
and
discussion with my buddy who just graduated from school, and
yeah,
it's interesting because I think one of the I guess common you know idioms that or ideas that people have is that you're either an entrepreneur or you're like W2. But now that I've been hosting this show and talking to so many entrepreneurs, I'm realizing that that's not as cookie cutter as I thought. There's actually a number of doctors, right, who have a real estate portfolio, and they have a totally different strategy, right? So because they're
yeah,
high W2, their real estate portfolio doesn't necessarily need to be generating lots of cash flow. It could potentially be
no,
losing a little bit of money, but then they can take that as a massive tax deduction against
true.
their W2 and get like potentially $100,000 back, right? And so it's not as, hey, you're either this or you're this. I think we're seeing a lot more kind of coalescing of multiple different, psychologies, but also segments of real estate.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You don't have to leave a W-2 job. A lot of people have that goal. You can slowly build a portfolio of properties. You don't even have to necessarily hold them. Like sometimes you'll hold them, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll hold them for just a short period of time. That gets a little bit granular in terms of the strategy. But, I've been doing this for over 30 years now, and you slowly build, and I don't want to confuse the bull market that we've had in real estate with brains. A lot of the appreciation of my portfolio had absolutely nothing to do with me. I was never planning on appreciation, but boy, they say luck is the crossroads where preparation and opportunity collide. Well, that's kind of what happened. I don't know if it'll be the same pathway going forward, but I don't see how you're going to be hurt if you're buying real estate with the risk-free strategies that we deploy, where you're not guaranteeing any debt personally, and you're building this portfolio that's cash flowing, because even if there's debt on the property, it's not your debt, and that debt's being paid down, and before you know it, you've got free and clear properties. Like in my case, I'm 58 years old, so I've got free and clear properties that, and I just collect money every single month on things that I haven't even thought of for decades.
Yeah, I mean, that's
And
great.
anyone can do that. Anyone can do that. I mean, it wasn't even really what I sought to do real estate wise, but doctors, lawyers, people who are in corporate jobs, can spend a little bit of time, some evenings, acquiring the skills, and then, dip their feet in the water, do a deal here, do a deal there. And before you know it, they're doing a few of them, a year, if not a few of them a month. And then the next thing you know, 10 years later, they can tell their boss to take this job and shove it.
Yeah, they're a full-time real estate investor at that point, and it buys you the ability to walk away, right? I mean, I think that's one of the
Precisely.
biggest things. It sounds like, a lot of people, and I think maybe you in your early stage when you were working in corporate America, it's like not having the option to leave is the most painful part, right? It's like, you may actually like
1,000%.
certain aspects of your job, but it's just the lack of control and knowing that, my ability to put food on the table and, pay basic bills is predicated upon this person giving me money in exchange for my time. Like I can't walk away. It's my back's against the wall. And that's an uncomfortable position for, a lot of Americans to be in, quite frankly. It's what makes real estate so attractive. We are coming up on time here though, Joel. Any new projects that you're working on? And then as well, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Sure, sure. Yeah, we've got some cool new things that are going on. Although I don't know if it would be, necessarily appropriate for this audience. I've got a fund, but I'm not really allowed to talk about it on
Sure.
unless you're an accredited investor. But that's something that I'm excited about, because it's going to allow people to make money a lot more passively than having to actually go out and do the work, which is what I'm finding is people don't really want to do the work. But if
Yeah.
you do want to do the work, and what I mean by that is you have to, spend some time in training to learn a skill. It's going to take a little bit of pain and a little bit of effort. And if you do want to do that, then, there's opportunities for that as well. And I'm not a hard guy to find. You can probably find my YouTube channel. or frankly, anyone can just text me. I mean, I can just give my cell phone out if anyone
Go
wants
ahead.
to,
Yeah.
get in touch. It's 702-364 Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan,
All right.
2323. 702-364-2323. Hit me with the text, and I'll personally get back to you if real estate is something that you're interested in. I will say that you can buy as much real estate as you want without any of your own cash, without any of your own credit. But getting the skills to do that does cost money. There's no point in me trying to train somebody for free. Like, why would I do that? So, you do need to have at least a few $1,000s to, get into the training. And if you're not willing to do that, I do have the free community, which I think you mentioned, school. You'll get a pretty good education there. Just, you'll go a little bit slower than having the GPS in your ear, me telling you exactly what to do step by step.
Joel, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure, Dylan. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.